Ryan, how's Vancouver going?
Well, you know, not sure if you can see it, but when Vancouver's like this and it's a blue sky and clear, it's, you know, probably one of the best cities in the world.
Yeah, it is pretty beautiful here. When did you get here?
I came, I mean, like normal for any competition,
Yeah.
I come like the night before we start the official practice. It's not really a major trip, you know, when you're thinking about all the trips to Asia and the trips to Europe, and
Right.
we're kind of staying on the continent. So it's, yeah, it's a great skating town, and it's kind of nice to be staying downtown, and, you know, nice hotel. And so, no, I'm a big fan of Vancouver, and, you know, it rains a lot here. So when we have it like this, you know, as a Canadian, I kind of take extra pride in kind of showcasing this amazing city.
Yeah.
And we have so many guests from around the world, and they're all kind of marveling, and, you know, taking the bus to the rink, and they're snapping pictures out the window, and so, you know, kind of makes you kind of proud to be Canadian and
Yeah.
show this great country.
Well, I mean, as usual, the Grand Prix finals got a bunch of very knowledgeable figure skating fans. How's the crowd been?
I mean, they've been great because, you know, when you have a knowledgeable fan base like we have here, and at most places actually, but I just find in Canada they're supportive of good skating. So whether you're from Russia or from Japan or Spain or wherever you're from,
Yeah.
they always seem to support good skating, and they kind of know their skating really well.
Right. Yeah, so you're here with Jun-Hwan Cha, and you know, very first Grand Prix final for him, and I know you've been working with him for like 3 or 4-ish years now. Kind of seen him grown from a junior skater to like through the boot problems and the injury of last season to the Olympics, and then to this season where I feel like he's really blossomed. Like, tell me about how he's transformed and where you feel like he is right now in his career.
Well, I first met with him, you know, more than 4 years ago, and so he's 17 now, so that would make him, what,
13.
12 or 13.
Yeah.
And yeah, so he wasn't even eligible for Junior Grand Prix yet when we first met, and I met him in Korea and had a meeting with his mom and with him and with an agent, and kind of discussed the possibility of coming to Toronto and working with us. So I laid out a few kind of conditions, and they were keen to come around and start working and to kind of buy into our program. So I mean, he was just at my shoulder when he first came, and now he's taller than me.
Yeah.
So that was fun.
And the big hair too.
Well, the hair, but there's a whole like image, and I think they've created a brand. And the thing is with him is that he had done some acting when he was younger, and he had done a bunch of TV commercials, and you know, now he's a figure skating and a personality, and so I think they're really trying to create a brand and a look, and you know, he does have a pretty cool look.
Yeah.
He's a good-looking kid, and so the hairstyle is definitely kind of part of all of that.
Yeah,
so
I can't pull that off.
There's times where I have to like try to get them to tone it down a little bit, and you know, I kind of get it, but I just don't want it to interfere with the skating. Or if you don't want, I don't want all of this to kind of take over the skating. So anyway, we've got it all figured out, and so he first came and we started doing the junior stuff. And you know, the first season was pretty good. He went to Junior Worlds. He came 6th, I think, or 5th, or I don't know. And then we did another year of Junior Worlds, and he, you know, came 2nd in the short program, and he was 4th overall. And then, you know, it seems like every time we go out, he gets a personal best. Yeah. And that's been happening from junior. You know, all those junior events and junior Grand Prix, and then last year, you know, he did, as you mentioned, he had some growing issues. Which every athlete goes through, and he had some problems with boots, and just some injuries, and so it was a tough one. His whole center of balance and his gravity was all messed up just with growing. And I told the parents and the agent, I said, listen, we're going to go through this, so just trust me. And you know, we're just going to fight through it, and we'll come out fine on the other end. Yeah. But it might take some time, and it did. It was 6 months of hell, you know, and lots of tears, and from him, not me. But we got through it.
Yeah.
And he kept plugging
at the
along.
right time too, right? Like right before the Olympics, really. Like
well, the whole Olympic qualification
Yes.
was pretty scary. They had 3 events that they do. So we had a summer one. It was a disaster, and it was a shame that he really shouldn't have been competing because he was badly injured and he had tried some new boots, and it was a disaster. So we were 27 points behind or something.
Yeah.
And then we did the next one, which was in December, and that was better. We were kind of
It was a step up.
on the mend, but we were another 2 points behind, I guess. So anyway, long story longer. He had to win nationals by 27 points or something. And it was like, okay, we took a deep breath and we did some math and we kind of sorted out the program and figured out if we did the math properly that it was possible. And he needed to skate well. So it happened.
Yeah.
And I think he was the right person to go to the Olympics, and he handled it well. And then the Olympics is really what made a big difference in him. So this year, everybody is saying, "Wow, Jun-Hwan is just like a great senior man now, and he's more expressive, and he's more committed to his choreography, and he's fast and athletic." And I think it's because of Olympics, because Olympics changes everybody, whether you're a coach, whether you're an athlete. Whether you're a journalist, it changes you because it's so awesome.
Yeah.
And it changed him, and he started training after the Olympic season like a new person, and he was mature about everything, and it's been a real pleasure.
Yeah. I remember when I saw him at Autumn Classic come out and just skate like he was on a mission. I think that's what you're talking about, that there was just this change in mindset, change in attitude that he had going into this season. So where do you think he is right now, in his career, and where do you think he's going to go?
Well, the thing is, when you're the new kid on the block, you're still kind of fresh out of the juniors, because last year he just did Olympics, and that was really his only senior event, and he did one Grand Prix. He's unknown.
Yeah.
And I really feel that, through this season, so Autumn Classic and then Finlandia and the 2 Grand Prix, he has skated well at all of them. So now they're taking notice. And now they can compare him to some of the top skaters in the world. But you have to kind of hit them over the head with good skating and good choreography and some consistency. And judges are humans, and everybody does their homework before they come to an event, and they kind of have in their mind where this kid's going to be, but they go, wow, he was really good. Maybe he shouldn't be a 7.75. Maybe he should be a 9.25. But who is he?
Yeah.
And so, but my advice to these new skaters is that you just have to skate well all the time.
Yeah.
So that they can count on you. And then they talk, and then they see you the next time, and they go, "Oh, I remember that Korean boy, and boy, he was so good," And now they're cheering for you, and they want you to do well. And now they have a number in their head because they really look at the program and see the transitions and the very intricate steps and entries into jumps, and then you see all the passion. So he's still relatively new, but he's doing the right things. By trying to go out and be prepared and skate well.
Yeah, you talk about the choreography. I think one of the memes this season on skating Twitter and kind of just social media is Jun-Hwan Cha doing Romeo and Juliet and the Juliet scream. Is that something
Juliet!
does he know that it's this popular thing?
I think he is sort of figuring it out. That's also in the short program where he does this little TikTok thing, which is really cool. And then the audience last night, I've heard for the first time, they were all just like, "Wow!" So every little bit helps. And the whole Juliet thing, I think we were in Finlandia Trophy, and he was skating quite well, and he landed it and kind of on the lyric, just doing this with his hands, and I was like, "Where did that come from?" But that just tells me that he's got a free spirit, and he's kind of unleashing some stuff, and it's good as an athlete and an artist to be able to do that.
Yeah. Well, a skater you aren't here with is Yuzuru Hanyu. Had to withdraw from the Grand Prix final because of that ankle injury that he had. Tell me what happened. How is he now? You know, as much as you can tell me, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, I really don't know a whole lot. You know, the Yuzu camp, they're, you know, and I'm part of it too, I hope. But they're very private.
Yeah.
And so they really want to kind of make sure they have everything organized and ready to, you know, talk to the media about what's happening. But I mean, what I know is, you know, I know the injury. We all know about the injury last year, and we all saw it when he was in NHK. And he, you know, he fell. He went on the inside of his ankle.
Yeah.
And this time he went on the outside of his ankle. So all the ligaments anyway are messed up in his ankle. So so this injury, from what I understand, is not as bad. But the, you know, a messed up ankle is a messed up ankle. So, but he's really good about following all the instructions of what he's supposed to do. So whether it's his physiotherapist or his doctor. And he, you know, sometimes you see some athletes that just get too overzealous and they jump out on the ice and they try to do things and try to be a hero. And he's not like that. He knows now, like, to really listen to people and trust them, and to know that he can rise up really quickly. And that's sort of what we did last year for Olympics. He was ready in July for Olympics. He was skating well and he was doing clean run-throughs. And to me, I was a bit nervous that he was kind of peaking a bit too soon. But then, you know, the silver lining to all of that was that he had all that training in the bank. He ends up getting injured. We did get ready quickly for this July, you know, when he had all the media that came to see him. You know, we do a big press conference, and it's a media day for, you know, 60 accredited journalists from Japan.
Yeah.
So, so I spoke to him. I said, listen, you know, you got ready for that in July, and we did it fairly quickly, and you were on top of your game, and it was about 6 weeks. And so I said, you know, how long do we have till Olympics? And, you know, he said, well, about 6 weeks. I said, okay, so we need to do this again. And I said, we just have to pick our battles. Do you want to go out there and try to break your own records? I don't know if that's going to happen. Do you want to go out there and win? That's very possible. So that was our strategy last year. Now this year, he starts training again. You know, I guess it would be maybe in June, July, June. And he just had a different, I don't know, he just came into the rink with a different look, or a different little skip to his step, and maybe 2 Olympic gold medals will do that.
Yep.
But he, it was, you know, just had a different outlook on skating. He wanted to continue to create greatness. He wanted to still do, you know, difficult and more difficult things. He totally embraced this new system. So he's like, where can I get more points in spins? Where can I get more points in steps? If we're going to go up to a +5, how am I going to be able to do that? So it was kind of talking about that and what we feel that they're looking for. This is before anybody had been out yet. So he was kind of embracing this, but he was just, he wasn't as manic as he has been in the past. And, you know, he was more, he communicated better with us, and it was nice, you know. So it's a shame that this happened with his ankle, because he was skating better than he's ever skated.
Yeah.
You know, it just, maybe there was just a real freedom to his skating and to his spirit.
Yeah, I mean, the new judging, the new version of the judging system certainly awards quality, and that's a thing that
Hallelujah.
We've seen with Yuzu, we've seen it with Jason Brown. Like the change in the way that you look at elements, it's changed the way that you even look at scores now.
Yeah.
So I think Yuzu's elements have certainly done a lot to get those +4s and +5s. But I mean, back to your point, I mean, what keeps him going? Is it really just like he loves skating? He loves to just try to do as great as he can do? Is that what it is?
I think my feeling is that he just loves to skate.
Yeah.
And he loves to compete. And he's still pretty young.
Yeah.
So there's so much more that he feels he can offer to the sport. He had said himself that he wants to be the first one to do a quadruple axel.
Right.
So, that has been on the back burner, and now that we have this injury, it might sort of stay on the back burner for a while. But if anybody can do it, it'll be him. And it'll be pretty spectacular.
Yeah.
But we have worked on it. It's definitely on the radar.
Well, if there's any indication that he wants to do things that no one's done before, that quad toe triple axel that actually doesn't give as much points as other layouts of the program would give, right? Like that's a prime example, right?
But that's like so exciting when he does it.
Oh gosh!
It's just like, and I just know that it's pretty spectacular when you have the other coaches of his competitors.
Yeah.
That they just kind of look over at me and they just shake their head like, oh my God, how do we compete with this?
Yeah. How's it been without Javi at the rink? Like, has it changed anything?
It's, yeah, you know what, he's, as most skaters that come to the club and have stayed, like, with Yuzuru and with Javi, that they've become part of the community and they're part of the family. And so, he's moved on and he's doing some great things, but he's missed. I know that Yuzuru really misses him a lot,
yeah,
actually, and they've had their moments where they've been fierce rivals, and it was hard for Yuzuru last year when Yuzuru first came back onto the ice and was just trying to see how his foot feels and to collide and maybe do a 3-turn or maybe do a mohawk. It's and then there's Javi running through his program, doing everything, doing all 3 quads and he had an agenda, and I had an agenda with Javi too. I had to stick to that. And, everybody was trying to very slowly get Yuzuru back on track. So it was tough for Yuzuru just because he's a competitor.
Yeah.
But I know that he does miss Javi. But Javi will be back, actually. He's
Europeans.
He'll do Europeans. And
is he doing Spanish nationals or just Europeans?
I don't think he's doing, no, he's not doing Spanish nationals. Because I believe he's still doing his
part of the show, yeah.
So he has to
They should just do Spanish nationals at the show.
Right? Yeah, and it's his last thing. He's announced that's going to be his last
right.
Raw. And
will you be with him for that?
No. Yes, in Europeans I will. Yes, I will. And so he'll come to Toronto for a few weeks before, and he'll do his 3-week training, and we'll just go with it. If anybody can do that,
right.
He'll be happy. But he has been skating, and he has been doing shows, and I think they're in between shows, at this particular moment. So I believe he's trying to get settled and do some training. And I'm not sure if he's getting a new program or not, but we'll see.
Yeah. You were talking about Yuzuru kind of looking at Javi while he was recovering. I remember at the Olympics, this was about that 6-week mark that we were talking about from the injury. Right at the start of the Olympics, he goes first warm-up, or first practice, he does single toe, single sow, single loop, triple axel, bows to everybody, and then leaves.
I know.
What was that about? As somebody who just sat there and was like, what did I just watch? What was that? Was that a planned thing? Was it?
Yeah, it was pretty planned.
Yeah.
First he came out and just did figure eights.
Yes.
And he does that sometimes at the rink because I'll get on the ice first, and it's always nice and clean, and we have great ice at our club. So I'll go out and just because I'm old school, and I'll just lay out a figure eight. And then he'll come out and he'll try to go on top of the tracing, and so then we talk about compulsory figures. Mm-hmm. So then he kind of got into a bit of a habit of just doing that when he first got on the ice. So when it was funny in Pyeongchang for him to step out there and, and I saw this whole bank of media, not just skating, but like worldwide sports media people, just wanting to get a glimpse because nobody had a clue how he was skating.
Right.
And then he came out and did that. It's like, wow. And then, just to do the minimum and then get off the ice.
Yeah.
I know. But normally if he's an uninjured Yuzuru, he likes to control the whole session. He likes to have all eyes on him and watch him. And he didn't get to do that this time, but he had to take comfort and just trust that, you know, his performances is really where we're being marked, and he doesn't have to go out and win every practice like he likes to do, you know, and to show his stuff.
Yeah.
You know, so it was a really cool approach.
Yeah.
He was really great with us as like the coaching team, and he was, you know, talkative, and he was a little bit, I mean, just a light spirit, and he was laughing, and so, and as we went on, so then we, you know, after the short, I guess we were all, or maybe it was for the short, but you know, we were on the same practices together. So it was Javier and Yuzuru because of the draw, and so I remember, I think it was the long program, and I can't remember if we had a day off in between. I think we did.
Yeah, you did.
We did.
Pretty sure you did.
But I just remember being on the practice, and now, you know, Yuzuru's kind of revved up and doing some great stuff, and Javi was doing his great stuff, and then there was some time at the end of a session where they just started doing some of the skating skills that we practice at home. So, you know, one of them started doing it, and I just said to the other, I said, go and do it together like we always do. Now, there's usually a group of 8 or 10 doing it, but it was like, and it was so amazing, and it was funny because, you know, I saw the judges sitting there, and we had some big shots on the practice, and you know, lots of quads and quad flips and quad lutzes and all this stuff. And I looked at the judges, and they were like, all of them were just watching Javi and Yuzuru do these exercises, you know. And I'm just like, yes, that's like, they're seeing good skating, you know, and they're not just kind of just following to see who's going to do the next quad, you know. So they came over to me, and I just looked at them and just said, like, you know, I just said, I'm so proud of you guys, and you know, you make us look really good, and you know, and then they shook hands, you know. It's like, oh my God, it's like an Olympic moment, you know. It was amazing.
Yeah, no, I totally remember that one. But yeah, I mean, you can't talk about Yuzuru without talking about Winnie the Pooh. What's your relationship? Is it a love-hate relationship? Is it a love-love relationship? I
can just say that it kind of is what it is. Now, I'm very superstitious as well, so.
As athletes are.
Yeah, and you know, this is obviously superstition. He's been around with Winnie the Pooh for a long time. And, you know, I do whatever I have to do. So, you know, I carry Winnie the Pooh, and I have to be quite gentle, and, you know. And I know that it's, you know, it means a lot to Yuzuru, so I don't make any fun about it. And then I did explain to him that, you know, Winnie the Pooh was actually Canadian, because, you know, the creator of Winnie the Pooh, it was based in Winnipeg. So that's the Winnie part of Winnie the Pooh.
Learn something new every day.
Winnipeg.
There you go.
So then I think we just had even a stronger bond, because Winnie the Pooh is Canadian too. Yeah, but it's been really cool. I mean, it's amazing when you see at these events and the finishes, and then the place is just like covered in these Winnie the Poohs. And he makes a point. They all go to a hospital. They all go to a children's hospital. They make sure that that's all done and taken care of. And before they all go into the bags, there's someone there taking every note out, you know, and saving the notes and saving the addresses, you know, and they try to get back to everybody.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, and I've been there, because I've been one of those people separating, and then of course his mom and his sister and the agents, and you know, we got a pile for the notes, we have a pile for the flowers, we have a pile for the Winnie the Poohs, and everything gets taken and organized.
Nice. Well, I'm going to switch gears a little bit. It was one of the big news stories of the off-season. Evgenia Medvedeva getting out of Russia, not training with the Russian coach, going to you. It's been a season for her, and I'm sure for you and her as well. What kind of got that started? Did she reach out to you? Like, how did that all get started?
She reached out to me. You know, obviously post-Olympic.
Yeah.
And so it was one of those calls. I was given a heads up somebody had contacted me to say, is it okay if I give your contact information to Evgenia? And I was like, wow, okay, And then she did reach out, and then I knew that she was going to be in Korea for a show. I was going to the same show, that was Jun-Hwan's show. And so I said, great, I'm going to be there literally for 24 hours. I'm going to see the Sunday matinee show. I'm going to leave Monday. So, and Sunday night, let's meet. So we met in my room, and with her mom and somebody else that was translating. Her English is great.
Yeah, her English is great, yeah.
But it was just to make sure there was absolute clarity and everything.
Yeah.
And we just had a talk, and I thought for sure, I thought we would be, 30 minutes about, logistics of coming to Toronto. And 3.5 hours later, we were still hashing it all out. And it was more about the transition rather, there was very little about where she came from. She had nothing bad to say at all.
Yep. And
she just knew that in order for her to continue skating, and my first question was, do you love to skate? She said, yes, I love it. It's like, good, okay, then now we can talk, because if you didn't, then, it would have to either help you find the love again,
which is tough.
It is tough, and then she's a young adult, and if it's not there, it's not there. But no, she loves to skate. So she was pretty excited about the change, and I think it just all made sense. And she learned a lot from her former coaches. A lot. That's evident and it's obvious. Even at all these competitions with these girls, everybody just shakes their head. Because it's incredible. So, I was ready to help her and to keep her skating, and just maybe give her a new direction. And I know that the other team they do their greatness, but they're they have a lot of kids and they kind of work together as groups. And so, at this stage for Evgenia, she needed some specialized attention, and we were ready to do that. So, it was tough, and it was. For me, it was. Most of my time went to her, and she didn't know how to work on her own. To go on a session and say, I'll see you in 30 minutes. Well, then she's like, what do I do for 30 minutes?
Because it was so prescribed?
Yeah. So now I'm like, okay, I'll take you now, and we're going to start with this, and with just basic skating skills and understanding what we're doing. And, so it was tough, and it was hard for me to kind of balance with the other skaters too. So I may have taken a few hits because of that, but she needed the attention, and now she's good on her own. And I see her working, and we don't have to take her by the hand. She's now having her compete, under our new system, like our system of training, is now the next step. So we've seen some greatness. I believe there's been improvements.
Yeah.
You look at her from, even last year at Olympics, and especially the year before from Boston, her body's changed. And I keep telling her, I say, you're not that 15-year-old girl anymore, and you're not this superhuman that people have said. She's superhuman. And she's even said, we've said some moments, after all the cameras go down and we're sitting at the kiss and cry, she's like, I'm supposed to be superhuman. I said, well, you're human. And we're going to, together we'll get through this. And, getting her to understand too this new system and about the quality is really, she needs to embrace that. And I reminded her too, you look back at the Olympics here in Vancouver, 2010, and Yuna Kim and Mao Asada. And Mao did a triple axel on the short and a triple axel on the long.
2.
And Yuna didn't have any triple axels. And Yuna beat her in both by quite a bit. And it was not because it was Yuna's turn. Those two girls were rivals, so Evgenia was used to that. But I think the quality of Yuna's skating just kept getting better and better every season. So it all kind of came to a climax here at the Olympics in Vancouver. So I was, I had to talk to her about that because she's like, I need to learn a triple X and I need to, do a quad cell. And sure, we're working on those things, but just don't lose sight of how you can win this. It's not all about just those jumps. And so she's trying hard, and it's hard for her to let go a little bit, and that's normal.
Yeah.
When you've had all those years from the beginning with one coaching team, and then she's with us, and it's hard to let go. And I get it.
Yeah.
So we're all trying hard. There's times where I have to give a little bit too, to say, I need to kind of know what that was as she was doing and maybe have some of it as part of her training.
Right.
And we'd have to sort of give and take.
Yeah, I mean, it's been pretty polarizing. You've got a Russian skater skating outside or training outside of Russia with a non-Russian coach. It's not something that happens a lot, or at all. Ever. What have you and your team and her been kind of doing to reinforce the fact that like this is a process and that you got to kind of take yourself out of the kind of chatter that's going on? Mm-hmm. I know she's like out of social media a little bit, so yeah. What's that been like?
Well, sure. I mean, social media is all fine and dandy when you're skating well and when you're on top and everybody loves your costume and everybody loves your program and they love your new haircut and whatever. But when you've had a few, kind of below her usual level of competition, then everybody has an opinion about that too. So everybody starts pointing fingers at people, and we're just trying to do our best. And we're just, I'm not saying that I'm the be all and end all that's going to make her a champion again, but we're just doing our best. And I want her to continue to love skating, and I want her to make a contribution again to skating, and come at things from a different angle, and be patient. So I think she's kind of getting it, and I think she probably wants to justify that she made the right choice, because I think the other choice was just to not skate anymore. So she has a lot of fans, and there are some people that are not fans. But that's the same in every sport. I mean, Yuna had people that were not fans, and I had people that were not fans, and that's fine. Yeah. And when I skated, it wasn't out there for the world to read,
right,
as it was happening.
Yeah.
And so my advice is to for them to not read any of that stuff, whether it's good or bad.
Right.
Sometimes you read too much good stuff and you get a little bit cocky and you get a big head, and you know what I mean.
Yeah.
So it's and it's never constructive either. So it's just stay away from it.
Yeah. Well, how do you feel like at this point, where do you assess her progress, especially now ahead of Russian nationals?
You know what? We're just sticking to the plan. Just continue to stick to the plan. And with every competition, we learn something, and we have to figure out the approach, because we can't kind of go back to the old approach, but there has to be enough of that. She needs to have a little fire in her belly, but it has to be legit. It has to be real and not sort of what it's supposed to look like. Mm-hmm. You have to really have the fire. So a lot of it's psychological. And that's also comes with maturity and becoming a young adult. A lot of kids are fearless and they just go do things and they do their quads, and, but then as you kind of cross over as an adult, you get too smart almost, and you're able to think too much.
Yep.
And there are other things in your life that perhaps might just push some wrong buttons. So it's managing all that, and so that's what I've been kind of handed. And we'll just stick to our plan and not roll the dice. We try to be prepared and organized, and that's our next step will be Russian nationals.
Yeah. I feel like that one point where she has an absolute standout clean program is going to like flip the switch for her mentally. I don't know. It just seems like that she's ready for that.
She needs it.
Yeah.
And I think she is ready for that. And you're right. And I think it's going to be, I think it's going to be a moment that we're all waiting for.
Yeah.
Including her.
Yeah.
But I want her to have that, and I want it to be a great moment.
Yeah. You talked a little bit earlier about the change in the judging system. How's that changed your style of coaching or your process of coaching this season?
The new system, every time something comes up and there's a change, we just have to embrace it and not complain about it. Try to figure out what they're trying to achieve.
Yeah.
And I know that with the television audience, not everybody is an educated, skating enthusiast. Some people just like to watch it. They might come across it on the TV and they want to be entertained.
Yeah.
And then they watch a competition and they see, somebody has fallen twice and then they won. And they're just sitting at home going, this is crazy. This doesn't make sense to me. Like, Martha, what's going on with this, And then they've got somebody else that goes out and they skate quite well and skate clean and they don't win. So, some of it, I'm just guessing that may have been the conversation, perhaps with the ISU, that we need to go back to the quality of all of the elements. We've created this system where we're getting, point value on everything, and then GOE, and then this whole difference, the +5 and -5, that's huge.
Yep.
So,
and the way that it's now spread out with the percentages, not just the fact that it's +5, -5. That it
right. There's
changes
so many.
Much.
It's important, and we've always kind of done this with our style of coaching. I've always kind of taken pride in creating transitions and things, and into jumps and out of jumps, and getting to a quad, and at the same time doing some choreography and trying to do some cool steps, but they're also designed to give you speed, so it kind of is a win-win, and then you get to do your quads out or whatever. So now that the program is even shorter, you have to be very efficient with your time, and that you have to do your choreography and transitions, and you have to get to the next element and do it all at the same time. And we've been doing that. So it's not a huge stretch for our athletes that we've been with for a while. But I think there are some athletes that are used to having their little 15-second break and kind of do a little shimmy, choreography and in front of the judges, and and then catch the breath and go on again. But we don't have time to do that now. So, most of our kids have been all right with this change. But I like the change, and I just tell some of my kids when, we're talking about, let's scale back the program a little bit. We don't need to do 3 quads, let's just do 2 quads. And you know what? I just say Jason Brown.
Yeah.
Because when he was in France and he won that short program.
96. And
it was, 6 points ahead of the guy who did 2 quads. And there's a reason for that. And you look at every one of those elements, and all those GOEs were great and well deserved. And then the speed and the charisma and the choreography and all that stuff. There you go. And sure, it would be great for Jason to have a couple of quads. It would be awesome. That would have put him completely over the top. And is it in the works? Yes, it's in the works. And he has been landing some nice quads. He too had a little ankle injury just the day before his short program in Zagreb. So it's like, we got to take the quad out for the free program. But every intention was to have it in there. Anyway, we're getting there with him, and he's kind of embraced the way we teach, and his attitude is different because he's such a nice guy. Everybody knows he's a nice guy, but he doesn't have to be nice to all the time and be able to have that sort of eye of the tiger attitude. So he's finding his way.
Yeah. Well, if you were the ISU, the large entity of the ISU, and you had a magic wand, what do you think you would change?
I've been kind of thinking about this question, and I don't think I would change anything. I kind of go with and trust what they're doing. And Sure, there's always little things that people complain about, but you know, it's as long as everything is done with the you know, the greater good of skating. You know, I think, you know, perhaps it'd be, you know, as we do as coaches, we have to continue our education in coaching. Skaters are always continuing their education in skating, and perhaps in figure skating, that the judges and the specialists, you know, perhaps there should be some more continuing education in that area. But I go along with what is dictated and try my best to sort of provide what they're trying to do. And there's always a reason for what they're doing. There's a reason why the whole system changed. There's a reason now for this +5 and -5. There's a reason for it, and it's not just sort of, you know, political stuff, trying to, you know, mess somebody up by changing the under rotation. You know, on the quarter, you know, is now under rotated. They're not doing it to intentionally hurt a particular nation. It's just we're trying to make it fair. So we have to make sure our jumps are clean, and they're not always. So we have to take the hit.
Right. Cool. Well, thanks, Brian, for your time.
You're welcome.
Thanks, Brian.
Thank you. Thank you.